what ifs. You know, I've thought about that a lot. You play the what if game. It's inevitable. You're gonna do it. And say I survived, but you know, my legs didn't make it out of the car with me. Where would I be now? What would I be doing now? I mean, just a matter of millimeters could have ended my hopes and dreams as an athlete very easily.
That day, we were just any old regular weekend up in Santa Barbara and to enjoy Danny's soccer games.
So we started back, and I guess we're probably about 45 minutes in the trip, and you know, the 101 freeway up there is not well lit.
We're just driving along, just chatting about the night and whatever else. Cruise control, 70 miles an hour, not thinking about too much.
And I remember climbing a slight rise.
Next thing I know, the car that was in front of me swerved off the road.
I was in the passenger seat, so I think I was the first one to see the oncoming car. And I remember saying to Dan, I just said, "Oh, Dan." And it was more of a prayer than anything, because at that point, I couldn't imagine surviving.
I knew in my mind we were being hit by a drunk driver. I knew that because anyone on the freeway going 65 miles an hour in that fast lane going the wrong direction, that's not right.
I mean, you can imagine. Two cars going about 70 miles an hour in opposite directions, hitting head on.
It actually was so violent that I think I blacked out. I think we all blacked out.
I remember waking up, and I remember my husband saying, "I'm okay. Dan, are you okay?" And Danny says, I'm okay. I'm thinking in my head, how can they possibly be okay?
I mean, as soon as we stopped, I remember looking at Dan and saying, can you get out? Can you get out of the car? He says, "No, my leg's trapped."
Danny, I was really thinking could have some major injuries to his legs.
I had the dashboard just covering me. It was, the steering wheel was in my lap, and the car was just smashed up against me, but there was definitely that cage that my body was supposed to be in and be protected in, and it worked. I knew I was okay, and I was worried about everyone else, as you do in your family. And my mom was in and out of consciousness, and that was scary.
Danny said, "Mom, reach for my hand." And this is when I'll get emotional, because he said, "Hold my hand." And he put his hand back, and all I could do was sit there and hold his hand. But that's the kind of boy he is.
You could see the way the 101 freeway is set up. It's hilly, it's on the cliffs. And you could see the fire engines and the ambulance coming. You could see them coming, but it was just like, it couldn't come fast enough. It really couldn't.
The next decision for me was to stay with Dan, because they said they're going to take 45 minutes to an hour to cut, with a Jaws of Life, cut him out of the car.
My little brother, who doesn't seem very little, but to me he always is, I had to sit in the car and while he was trapped, as the firemen asked my dad to stay with him or go with my mom. And how brave he must have had to been to say, "Dad, go with Mom."
They had to take the door off to get me out. And this is the emergency brake. There's just a little space back there that my legs fit in, and they slid in and out of there safely, and I was well protected.
When he showed up, it was just a great moment in my life.
We all checked out fine. I can't even explain how lucky and fortunate we were to be in that car and to be that safe. We couldn't believe it. Danny played his soccer game the next day, which was amazing. I spent one night in the hospital just so they could check everything out. I checked out okay, and actually was released the next day to go watch him play soccer.
We were in the wrong place at the wrong time, but we were in the right car. We were in the right car.